Hey everyone, Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel. So today we are going to be taking a look at the Snapmaker U1. This is the new multi-tool head printer from Snapmaker, and they have joined the multicolor market. And I have to tell you straight off the bat that this is one of my most favorite reviews that I've ever done on this channel, and I'm going to go into the reasons why I am saying that. Now, before we start, I must tell you that this was sent to me to review by Snapmaker, but anything that I'm going to bring you on this channel is totally my own opinion, and I'm going to approach it as if I bought it myself and the expectations that I have when I purchase any type of 3D print or product. I'm going to talk about some of its specs, some of its capabilities, and the very simple setup procedure. Now, the packaging that it came in was super protective. It had so much protecting this, and I had no issues in terms of the delivery. We are going to go over in depth what you're going to receive when you receive this item, but these are some of the prints that I have had some fun with. And we had this mask here, which was from Pipecox. Now, this is a super detailed mask, as you can see, and we have so many variations of color. Now, this particular printer is a 4-tool head. In comparison to some of the competitors, it is a little bit restricted in that respect, but 4 colors is more than enough to come up with some amazing prints like this Katuna mask. Now, for me, this is one of my most favorite prints that I have done on this Snapmaker U1. Like I say a bit later on in the video, we are going to go into some of the specifications, some of the capabilities. We'll also take a quick look at the Snapmaker Orca slicer that I've been using specifically for all of my prints. And we'll also take a quick look at the app. We'll show it up on screen, what type of information is shown to you through the Snapmaker app. So let's take a look at the specs itself. So stay with us, and if you haven't already done so, definitely like and subscribe to this channel. I have got so much coming up in 2026, and we are going to stick with it now. And this is the Snapmaker U1, and let's check out some of the specifications for this printer. Okay, so here we have this Snapmaker U1. I have to tell you, the direction that Snapmaker have taken when joining into the multicolor printing party that seems to be the thing of 2025 is the fact that they chose to go with the multi-tool head. Now, this particular printer has 4 tool heads, and it doesn't look like that you can extend from that. For me, 4 colors is just enough to do some really amazing prints. And let me tell you, some of the prints that I'm going to be showing on later on the video really tells me that they have truly taken the time to check out how to make sure that you are getting the best quality for your money. And let's talk about the cost. The cost for this at the moment is £799. And let me tell you, for a multi-tool head color printer, that is an extremely good price. And yes, I did mention earlier on in the video that I was sent this to review, but I'm telling you right now, I am going to be purchasing some more of these myself. These have really revolutionized how I do my multicolor printing. There's a number of factors in that. It's the fact that you only have the purge tower waste. And yes, admittedly, there's a little poop bucket at the bottom, and there's always a little purge at the beginning of every print, and you only have a small amount after such prints. And in comparison to some of the other multicolor printers that I have printed on in the past, and in my channel on my reviews, I have to tell you, this is standing out as one of my go-to multicolor printers. So what you're going to get when you receive this item is the full unit already assembled. The only things that you are going to need to do, and they give you a really easy guide. This glossy instruction manual here gives you a step-to-step guide on how to put it together and carry out all your calibration checks. Now, it's very simple. You have 4 spool holders here on both sides. You've got 2 this side and 2 on the other side, and these simply push into the unit and clip into place. Now, there are RFID scanners on each of those 4 spools. So if you are using a Snapmaker own RFID roll, this will pick it up. But I'm sure that these will be able to pick up other RFIDs in the future. Let's talk about the feed system here. So as you can see, they are clearly numbered. You have 3 and 4, and these correspond to what roll that you are using. And as you can see, these spool holders are also clearly marked. Very easy to use. So in terms of when you receive this Snapmaker U1, you will have to calibrate each of these printing heads. Now they do come separate from the machine, so there is a little bit of manual putting together at the very start. And having put together a Prusa XL, I have to tell you, it was a seamless, easy, total setup. For me, it was one of the easiest things I've done in many reviews that I've done on my channel. You have these 4 heads. Now, it is very critical that you, on one of the printing heads here, you make sure the one with the sticky label that's on the back of this is the one that is printing head 1. It does tell you this in the instructions manual. I have to say, don't peel off the label until you are ready to start manually installing all of these printing heads. It is key that you get them in order. Once you've peeled the label off, they do look identical. You also receive the PTFE tubes. Now let's talk about that. The actual PTFE tubes are different. So you have 2 different types. The first type is the ones that feed from the filament feed system, which is the smaller PTFE, and this feeds into the back here and comes up in through this system here. But then you have these thicker PTFE tubes here. These are for the actual printing head itself. So it is key to make sure that you do follow the instructions. I am really telling you now that if you bypass that and just go about it yourself, you are going to come across some issues. Now on the printing head itself, there's a notch here. That's the one where the PTFE needs to go in. You also have these little holders, which keeps it guided in place and does keep some relative stability to these loops here. You will also need to connect up this USB-C connection point here. Nice and easy. A couple of screws, which is all found in the spares box, which I'll go and show you that in a minute, because the actual box itself was incredible. It came with everything you need and even spare wipes, etc. Now the actual printer itself comes very stable. It doesn't have a lid on delivery. That's something that you can purchase extra. And what you do have is the following specifications for this printer. Now the actual printer is a 270 by 270 by 270 build volume, so cubed square. So also it is a 500 mms maximum tool head speed, and for a multicolor printer, as well as no purge waste, and the time is amazing. Now in terms of times of swapping head, you're looking at about 10 to 15 seconds, so super quick in comparison to your multicolor brothers, which take up to 50 seconds per print sometimes, and for me that is a huge time difference in terms of printing things like this. You also had the 4 tool heads, as I said, which reduces filament waste. It's 20,000 mms on acceleration. And speaking of the nozzle, it is a stainless steel 0.4 on delivery, but you can purchase different types. It also has a maximum of 300 degrees on the nozzle itself. And you do have a mains and parts auxiliary cooling fan, so you have them here. The actual fan itself is slightly under, which we'll take a look at in a minute, and then you have the parts cooling fan on the actual nozzle itself. It is a 3-axis printer, so you've got the 3 motors on either side, so nice and stable, and then you've got this core XY motion here. The belts for me do seem pretty standard in comparison to some other brands, so they've not sort of gone for the thicker versions. For me, that's not too bad. And you've got the carbon rod here. So let's take a look at some of the other specs for this. So it also comes with a PEI coated plate, and it is a two-sided plate as well, so you can swap it over if you have any damages on this. It is a 100 degrees bed. I also like the fact that underneath here is a calibration circle. Now this is only used when you are calibrating the tool heads at the very beginning, and you can go back and redo them if you are having issues with any off alignment here, so you can always revisit that. So underneath the bed itself you have the circular contact point for the calibration for the tool head itself. As I said, it's a flexible build plate and it supports PLA, PETG, TPU, PVA and so much more. Now with the open lid you are restricted to the types of filament that you can print, but with the lid that you can purchase from their website you can obviously then go into the carbon fibers, etc., and that will then increase the scope of this printer. And for the price of $800, for me, a multi-tool head color printer and filament waste reducer, and the fact that it's an enclosed unit, for me ticks so many different boxes. So let's take a look at the screen. So here you have a 3.5 inch 320 by 480 super responsive screen. Now even during the actual print, so I have paused this print, so this is a Formula 1 race car and I'm doing it as a Christmas gift. You can still make quite a lot of changes to this, so you can access each of the tool heads, you can access some of the movement. Now some of these are restricted. It also has a super bright LED light which covers pretty much most of the printer. Now in comparison to some other brands, they always choose to have just one small strip and you are restricted with the actual illumination of the internal part, especially if you're printing at night or carrying out any time lapses. So super bright in that respect. And as I said, you can even access deeper into the menu. So even while you're printing, you can make some changes internally. Up the top of the screen here you have the nozzle temperature, you have the bed temperature and the actual chamber temperature. Now this isn't a heated chamber, it is simply heated up by the actual bed and any sort of residual heat that is in there. It also tells me that it is currently time lapsing and it is connected to the cloud and the Wi-Fi. And on here you have the 4 tool heads. The 4 tool heads tell you what color and what type of filament you are printing. By simply clicking on that you can amend that. I won't do it in this particular case because I don't want it to actually stop my print, but it is simple. They do have the Polymaker and the generic and also the Snapmaker types of filaments, and it can change and unload by simply pressing that button. It gives you a simple step-to-step guide on how to carry that out. So also you have access to all of the other sort of standard stuff that you get. You also get access to the types of printer, and it has a very large built-in memory of almost 26 gigabytes. Now that is extremely good for an internal memory. This helps exporting any sort of filament files and print files onto there and not having to feel that you need to delete some or remove some, so they're always there for the next time you want to use them. Any system logs can be exported to a USB, nice and simple to do that. As I said, you also have a device assistant, so if there's any new messages or any issues. It also gives you a nice little preview of the model that you're printing, and in my case it's the Formula 1 racer. We're about 58% and a few more hours to go. I'll show that completed at the end of the video. I want to show you some of the prints that I've done now and go through what you're going to expect when you receive this item. As I say, in terms of setting up, you do have to remove 3 screws, and that can be found one here, one over at the back and one on this front part. Do need to make sure that you remove that before continuing. Now this will damage your printer if you don't, and it is simply there for basically through couriers and stuff like that and transport. So it's to keep the bed safe during transport. In terms of the packaging, nice and well packaged. You do have this glass door at the front, and underneath here you have nice clear open space. Now you do get quite a bit of debris, as you can see, and I have found that some of it actually gets caught up in some of the grill, the fan grills. So it's something to take note of in future, just to make sure that you don't lose any in there and start finding you have issues with noises from the fan. In terms of the overall aesthetics, the actual Snapmaker for me is a beautiful printer. You have this white plastic chassis, and you also have a glass door, and the actual frame itself is super sturdy. And then, as I said, you have these spool holders and the filament feed system. When you receive this item, these items are to be installed, but super simple. Do not force the cable on this, otherwise you will have some issues. And in terms of the overall print quality and the actual usage of this printer, it is definitely one of my top printers of 2025. I have to tell you that. The instruction manuals, as I said, is a super glossy guide, and it gives you a step-to-step guide on how to put it together. So we're going to have a quick look at some prints now. On the screen in a minute, I'm going to show you some of the print time lapses, and then we'll take a look at it while it's printing and some of the waste that you get with it, etc. But literally, this particular print has got 2 hours to go. It's a 5-hour print. As I said, it's just a Formula 1. It's just a gift for Christmas, and the waste is minimal. You have the prime tower and you don't have any other waste. There's no poop chute. It's literally a little bucket that you can pull out at the end of every print just to empty it out. It is minimal. As I said, this is just a prime tower, and that is it in terms of the overall aesthetics. So some of the other features that this printer has is that it has a 2-megapixel chamber camera, which can be seen just in this corner here for time lapsing and monitoring through the app and through the Orca slicer. It also has the heated bed leveling, the active vibration control, and the pressure advanced calibration. So it has plenty of features in that respect. Okay, so mid-print we have an error. So basically it's just a filament runout detected on tool 1, which is the white. So I've just removed that and put a new one in. So quite simple really. Just feed it into the number 1 slot. That'll pick it up. That'll go over into the head, as you can see. It's starting to come down. And then once you've completed that, just press the OK. Where do we need to do it? So in here, so it's basically telling me that it's not recognized it. Obviously this has a RFID here, but this one is just a generic. So we're going to need to tell the machine what it is. So we know it is white, and then we're just going to go for a generic, PLA, save. So now it won't work without you doing this. Go back to the print, press play, and then it'll just do a quick reset. As you can see, the filament is now being purged in. It'll go over and purge a little bit into the back. as you can see at the back here. If we can try and get a close-up of that. It's not as easy as I'd hoped, but yeah, I've got a purge coming through, and let's try and get in a bit close without touching the print. You can see it all coming out there, and it will just knock it into this little tray, which is removable, as you see in the initial opening part. That'll just do a little prime now, and if all goes to plan, they should start printing. It's quite good. Just make sure that you follow those steps. So when it says that it's run out, if you're not using Snapmaker's RFID and you're using a generic, you will need to go into the toolhead settings in the main menu. The good thing is with this printer that is you can still access that during a print. And now we're back to printing. As you can see, we've now got a white line coming out on all of these. As you can see, they're black at the moment, and once it starts going through it all, we'll get the white purge, as you can see there, now coming out on all of the prints. So we are back up and running. I'm hoping that's enough. It's quite a big print. This is a pipe Cox mask, multicolour, so be interesting what it looks like at the end. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this review of the Snapmaker U1, and as I've been saying throughout this video, this Snapmaker U1 has blown all my expectations completely out of the water. It has been an amazing experience from the initial receiving the item to the final few prints that I've done recently, and currently doing some now. I have to tell you, this Snapmaker multi-tool head printer has not only saved me money on filament waste, the print quality has been absolutely fantastic. And as I did say early on in the video, I was sent this to review by Snapmaker, but I've approached this in a manner that I've bought it myself. And I am going to tell you this right now, I will be purchasing at least a few more of these off my own money. And that is how much I can validate my experiences of this printer. So let's take a look at some of the prints that I've got from this. Now, I wanted to test it on a multicolor print, and this is a nostalgic Pokemon Nintendo GameCube or Game Boy, sorry, cartridge. This was printed and it took about 6 hours, and it came out absolutely fantastic. As you can see, the detail of that. Now, this is a two-part, so it wasn't printed completely as a whole one, but it does print in these two parts and you just glue them together, and that is a fantastic wall item for a studio or a gaming studio or for your children, and I love this print. Now, I will be leaving the link for Nostalgic 3D. They are a company that create these beautiful prints, and I will leave a link to them because I do like showing them in my reviews. Obviously, these are the dragons that you will probably carry out on your first test. And as you can see, this came out fantastic. The filament waste that I showed you was simply for this model, and this prime tower is all the waste you would get. And as you know, any multicolor printer user that isn't a tool head printer will know the amount of waste that you would get from such a small item like this, and the quality is fantastic. I printed them in some other colors, and I actually sliced this particular file myself just to make sure that we could get the same quality, and we did. Another nostalgic 3D print is this Simpsons print here. Now, Bart Simpson for the Lord of the Rings, for me, was one of my best prints. I absolutely adore this print. The quality, now this is 4 colors, so we got the black, white, yellow and red. I appreciate that probably more colors would give you a better look, but I think this came out absolutely fantastic, as you can see. And it was about 7-hour print and that came out amazing. The quality was amazing and hardly any waste once again. We also printed some Christmas items, so articulated items. I have been told that the face is a little bit white. I was restricted. It needed 5 colours. I was restricted in that respect with the 4 tool heads, but it still came out really, really well nonetheless. And that was a full bed print, so there was 10 items. You would have seen the time lapse just before this final recap. And as I said to you, this mask here from Pipecox has come out absolutely fantastic. The colours are all detailed, everything came out, few supports on it, nothing major, and as you can see, it has come out really, really well. And that is one of my best prints as well. Everything that this printer did has thrown out absolute quality, I can tell you that right now. Now the PEI bed, I must admit I did use some 3D lac on it. I did notice that there's sometimes it wasn't quite sticking. Always clean your bed. Now PEI shouldn't require this, but it's 3D lac is something that I do use in most of my reviews and in my day-to-day printing. We also did some fun items such as this little weasel. So yeah, nice cool print. Was reminded what it really is, so I won't be broadcasting that too much. Like I said to you earlier, when you receive this, you do receive a toolkit with all of the spare items. There's replacements, you've got lithium grease, you have cleaning tools, you have wire nozzle cleaners, which is part of your pre-set up thing. You have scrapers, thermal grease, spare pipes. Now, as I said to you, the PTFE is super important to get it the right way. You have like this little notch part and a little dimple part, so you do need to make sure that they are in the right place. You also receive other spares, and also in the actual pack, the delivery pack, you will receive 4 spools, multicolour print filaments. I think it's about 600 grams. It's not a full kilo, but still, for a brand for such a small price and the capabilities that this particular printer has got, to get 4 spools at 600 grams per spool is really, really good. And this gave me the review that I've given you today. So overall, the Snapmaker U1 for me is an absolute home run from Snapmaker. They have mastered this, and that has been shown in the amazing sales in the Kickstarter. Now, I appreciate that there are still some people in there that have purchased this through the Kickstarter that are still waiting for their Snapmaker. Be patient. Definitely, when you receive it, you are going to be blown away with the quality. And I have to tell you, being given this opportunity by Snapmaker, which I really appreciate on this channel, as you know, it's a very small channel, but we are growing. I am based in the UK, and things like this to be able to showcase to you and the quality and the capabilities of this printer really just says to me, be patient. You're going to get an absolute blinding printer, and you are going to love every second of this experience, from the unboxing to the build to the print itself. So don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel, and stay with us. This was the Snapmaker U1, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and there'll be some more coming out soon. Take care everyone. Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel.